So to start, I have a pot, my soup pot, I have a little bit of olive oil in there, and over medium heat, I'm gonna add, you can add onions or leeks. I love leeks, especially in the winter, and I've seen some Canadian leeks actually recently too in the grocery store, which is great. So that's gonna go in, and I have about a cup and a half. So you can scale the soup up or down. It's a really, really straightforward, easy recipe. We're gonna add a pinch of salt, and we're gonna add a few cloves of garlic. I've got 3, you can add 30. It's completely up to you. And I put them in whole because I'm gonna puree the soup after. If I chop them up very finely, you wanna keep an eye on it because it could burn a lot faster. So if I'm gonna puree soups, I just give them a quick smash in whole and less of a chance of it burning. So we're gonna give this a quick stir. Now this would typically go for about 3 minutes or so, just until it's softened. With the leeks, they'll start to go transparent. Onions too, they'll start to become a little transparent. Before it starts to take on too much color, that's when you know we're moving on to the next step, and we're gonna add the celery root, okay? So this is the celery root. I've diced it up ahead of time. That's what it looks like. Can you guys see that? No. Yes, so that's a great question. Actually, it does. So this is celery plant. This isn't the same celery that you would buy in a grocery store and use regularly, because that plant it's cultivated a little differently. That's the focus of that plant is on the stalks, where the focus on this plant is the root. The celery will still come out of here, but it's more of like this really thin, sort of stringy celery. Not the greatest for eating, but the root does taste like celery. And it cooks, it's a starchy vegetable, so it cooks almost like a potato. So flat end down, and then with your knife, what I do is you just sort of carve away the outside. If you have a really good peeler, that might work, but the skin on this is pretty tough, so I find it with a knife, it's just a little bit easier. And so you can just peel it off. These come in different sizes. The ones I used yesterday, so I made the soup ahead of time, were about the size of a basketball. I'm not even joking. That's it prepared. I'll just peel the rest off here. But pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If it's not as hard as like a squash or anything like that, but if you do find it a little bit of a struggle to cut through it, what you can do is after you've peeled it, you can actually pop it in the oven at 350, or you can throw it in the microwave just for about 15, 20 minutes. It'll actually par cook it, it'll soften it up a little bit, and you can do this whole, and then it becomes a lot easier to slice it. So big chunks. This is a fairly quick cooking vegetable as well. Takes about 20 minutes or so, not long. And what's nice is if you've prepped this ahead of time too, if you have it in the freezer, you're eating soup in no time, or you're having a meal in no time. It's really, really easy. So celery root and our leeks and our garlic, pretty straightforward. Following so far. We're gonna add our liquid now, and this is up to you. You can have a vegetable stock, you can do a chicken stock. If you want to keep it very simple, you can just do water. If you want to keep it very neutral. There's not a ton of flavor in the celery root. It's a pretty mild, you have a little bit of that celery flavor, but it's a nice clean flavor. But if you did want to kick up the flavor a bit, add a nice chicken stock or a nice vegetable stock. We make our vegetable stock from scratch, and we have some great videos. There's a little plug in there on our website that you can find on the front copy of the recipe page. And so we're adding just enough liquid to cover. If you want a very thin soup, then you just add more liquid, and you can always adjust that at the end anyway. So just enough liquid to cover there, and that's it. That's how simple it is. We're gonna put, as soon as this comes up to a simmer, we're gonna put our lid on top, and then that is gonna simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can take a fork or a spoon into the pot and just press against the celery root. If it's soft, it's good to go. If you have a hand blender, you just blend that up and you have your soup, or you just carefully transfer it to a stand blender. Now, we're not finished there because I like to complicate things sometimes, but you can. That's a soup all on its own. But we're gonna add, it's just a simple soup, right? We just have a few ingredients. We're gonna add something to add a little bit more protein to it. And at the end, you can even add a little, scoop of yogurt or maybe a little bit of cheese on top. I love these little white beans, and we're gonna do a little dish. It's almost like a side dish, and we're gonna combine them together to add a little more protein, a little bit of texture to it as well. So these are just these small white navy beans, and you can get them canned. This is another sort of great little, quick item that you can have in your pantry. Have some canned beans ready to go, and they can give you a really quick side dish or main meal. These have been soaked. These are whole beans that have been soaked and then boiled for about an hour. So now we just have the white beans ready to cook. And what we're gonna do is add just a little bit of flavor here. So I've got a saute pan, a little bit of olive oil, and I have some garlic cloves here that I've actually just left the skin on. The outer peel I took off, but the skin I just left on, and I'm just gonna crush it with my hand a little bit just to expose the garlic a bit. And that's gonna go in the pan as is. Anytime I'm trying to flavor oil or trying to cook something in it and I want that garlic flavor, but it's a higher heat, I leave the skin on because it prevents it from burning a lot faster. Once that garlic starts to burn, everything's gonna turn bitter, right? So the skin goes on, and the skin will actually come off really easily after, but if I'm just using it for that flavor, leave the skin on, and that's gonna give the oil a really, really nice garlic flavor. Next, nice bit of aroma is rosemary. I think especially in the winter, these hardy herbs are fantastic. So this is just fresh rosemary that I've roughly chopped, and that's gonna go a nice little handful in there as well. And it should hit the first row in about 5 seconds, and then it'll probably continue back. But that garlic and that rosemary, as you can see, beautiful. Really, really nice. And you can cook anything in here. You hit it now? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can put chicken in here. You can do some cauliflower in here. Beautiful. Really, really nice way to add some flavored dishes. We're gonna add our white beans to this. So white beans go in. That's a good sound. Remember, we're cooking with our ears as well. That means it's nice and hot. All right. And the beans are already cooked, they're already soft. And if you take them out of the can, you just rinse them, drain them, those are already cooked as well. So you just want to season them. It doesn't take much time at all. It takes about 20 seconds. The last thing I'm going to add, and this is one of my favorite sort of spices to put on top of dishes, is smoked paprika. Has anyone used smoked paprika before? Yeah, if you've been to a few of our classes, we use it quite a bit in this class. I love it because it adds a ton of smoky flavor, but there's no heat, so it's not spicy. So if you don't like spicy food, this is a nice spice to keep in the cupboard. So it's a paprika that's been smoked and has this almost like barbecue feel to it. It's really, really tasty. So I'm gonna add about a teaspoon in there. You stir it, give it one last toss. Can you guys smell that now? The smokiness a little bit. Beautiful. And that's it. It's off. That took, what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds? No time at all. And now we're ready to plate. So the soup, 30 minutes later, we pureed it. And we have this really, really nice, comforting, creamy celery root soup, and that's really because of the celery root. If you wanted it a little thicker, you can either add less liquid, or you can even put like a half a potato in there. It's mostly celery root, but that little piece of the potato will make it really nice and rich and a lot thicker as well. So we have a celery root soup. Then we're going to take some of those smoky beans, with the garlic and the rosemary, just to give it a little bit of texture. Okay, so that's it. First recipe, yes.